fisherman and his wife. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman who lived with his wife in a miserable shack close by the sea. One day, as he was sitting with his fishing rod, looking at the clear water, his line suddenly went down. And when he pulled it up again, he had caught a large flounder fish. The flounder said to him, "Fisherman, please, let me live. I'm not a flounder really, but an enchanted prince. I would not be good to eat. Put me in the water again and let me go." The fisherman said, "There is no need for so many words about it. Of course, I would let you go, any fish that could talk." He put the flounder back into the clear water, and then he went home to his wife, who was called Ilsalond. "Husband," said Ilsalond, "didn't you catch anything today?" "No," said the man. "Well, I did catch a flounder, but he said he was an enchanted prince, so I let him go again." "Didn't you wish for anything?" "No. What would I wish for?" "Ah," said the woman, "it is hard to live every day in this dirty shack. You could have wished for a cottage. Go back and call him. Tell him we want to have a small cottage. He will certainly give us that." "Oh," said the man, "I'm not sure it's right to call him back and ask for something." "Now look," said the woman, "because you caught him and you let him go again, he is sure to do it. Go at once." The man still did not like this plan, but he also didn't like to oppose his wife, so he went to the sea. When he got there, the water was green and yellow, and its smooth surface was now ruffled. He stood at the edge and said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, I ask you, here to me, for my good wife, Ilsalond, wants not as I'd wish she'd want." The flounder came swimming to him. "Well, what is it that she wants?" The man said, "I did catch you, and my wife says I really ought to have wished for something. She does not like living in a wretched shack. She would like to have a cottage." "Go then," said the flounder. "She has it already." When the man went home, his wife was no longer in the shack, but instead, where it had been, there was a lovely little cottage, and she was sitting on a bench beside the door. She took him by the hand and saying, "Look, this is much better, isn't it?" They went in, and there was a small porch and a pretty little parlor and a bedroom and a kitchen and a pantry with the best of furniture and beautiful things made of tin and brass. Everything you could want. Behind the cottage there was a small yard with hens and ducks and a little garden with flowers and fruit. "Look," said the wife, "isn't it nice?" "Yes," said the husband, "and so we will always feel. From now on we will be quite content." "Let's wait and see," said the wife. Everything went well for a week or so, and then the woman said, "Listen, husband, this cottage is far too small for us, and the garden and yard are also small. The flounder could just as easily have given us a larger house. I would like to live in a great stone castle. Go to the flounder and tell him to give us a castle." "Ah, wife," said the man, "this cottage is good enough. Why should we live in a castle?" "Just go and ask. The flounder can do it," said the woman. The man's heart grew heavy. He said to himself, "It is not right to ask for more. The flounder has only just given us this cottage." And yet he went. When he came to the sea, the water was now purple, dark blue and grey and thick. He stood there and said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come I ask you here to me, for my good wife Ilsalond wants not as I'd wish she'd want."
"Well, what does she want then?"
said the flounder. "Alas," said the man, half scared, "she wants to live in a great stone castle."
"Go to it," said the flounder. "She's standing before the door."
Then the man went home, but when he got there, he found a great stone castle, and his wife was waiting on the steps. She took him by the hand and said, "Come in." In the castle was a vast hall paved with marble, and many servants who flung wide the doors, and the walls were all bright with beautiful hangings, and in the rooms were chairs and tables of pure gold, and crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, and all the rooms and bedrooms had carpets, and the very best food and wine was laid out on all the tables, so that they nearly sagged with the weight. Behind the castle there was a great courtyard, with stables for horses and cows, and the very best carriages. There was a magnificent large garden too, with the most beautiful flowers and fruit trees, and a park half a mile long, in which there were stags, deers, and everything that could be desired. "Isn't it beautiful?" said the woman. "Yes, indeed," said the man. "Now let me be. We will live in the castle and be content." "Let's wait and see," said the woman. Next morning, the wife woke first. From her bed, she saw the beautiful landscape through their window. She poked her husband in the side with her elbow and said, "Get up, husband, and look out the window. Couldn't we be the king over all that land? Go to the flounder, and we'll make us king." "Ah, wife," said the man, "why should we be king? I do not want to be king." "Well," said the wife, "if you won't be king, I will. Go to the flounder." "Why do you want to be king?" asked the man. "I do not want to ask him for still more." "Why not?" said the woman. "Go to him this instant. I must be king." "It is not right, it is not right," thought the man. He did not want to go, yet he went. When he came to the sea, it was dark grey. The water heaved up from below and smelled foul. He went and stood by it and said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come I ask you here to me, for my good wife Ilsalond wants not as I'd wish she'd want."
"Well, what does she want then?"
said the flounder. "Alas," said the man, "she wants to be king."
"Go to her. She is king already."
So the man went, and where the castle had been, he found a palace. It had a great tower and magnificent ornaments, and there were soldiers with kettle drums and trumpets. When he went inside the palace, everything was real marble and gold, with velvet covers and golden tassels. Then the doors of the hall were opened, and there was the court in all its splendor, and his wife was sitting on a high throne of gold and diamonds, with a great crown of gold on her head, and a scepter of pure gold and jewels in her hand. And on both sides of her stood her maids in waiting in a row, each of them always one head shorter than the last. The man went and stood before her and said, "Ah, wife, now you are king." "Yes," said the woman, "now I am king. Now that you're king, let all else be. Now we will wish for nothing more." "Nay, husband," said the woman quite anxiously. "Now I am king, I find time passes very heavily. I can't bear it no longer. Go to the flounder. I must be Pope too." "Alas, wife," said the man, "it cannot make you Pope. I cannot ask it. It is too much. There is one Pope in all of Christendom." "What?" said the woman. "I am the king. You are nothing but my husband. I command you to go at once. If he can make me king, he can make me Pope. I must be Pope this very day." So the man was forced to go. As he went, he was troubled in mind, and his knees trembled. He thought to himself, "It will not end well, it will not end well. Pope is too shameless. The flounder must in the end be tired out." A high wind blew over the land, and the clouds flew, and towards evening all grey dark. Leaves fell from the trees, and the water rose and roared as if it were boiling, and splashed upon the shore. Full of despair and fear, the fisherman went and said, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, I ask you, here to me, for my good wife, Ilsalont, wants not as I'd wish she'd want."
"Well, what does she want then?" asked the flounder.
"Alas," said the man, "she wants to be Pope."
"Go there then," said the flounder. "She's Pope already."
So he went, and he saw a cathedral surrounded by palaces. He pushed his way through the crowd. Inside, everything was lit up with thousands and thousands of candles. His wife was clad in gold, and she was sitting on a much higher throne and had 3 great golden crowns on. All the emperors and kings were on their knees before her, kissing her shoe. "Wife," said the man, looking attentively at her, "are you now Pope?" "Yes," she said, "I am Pope." So he stood and looked at her, and it was just as if he was looking at the bright sun. When he had stood looking at her for a short time, he said, "Wife, if you're Pope, be satisfied. You cannot become anything greater now. Let that be enough." "Let's wait and see," said the woman. Thereupon they both went to bed. But the wife was not satisfied, and greediness let her have no sleep, for she was continually thinking about what there was left for her to be. At length the sun began to rise, and when the woman saw the light of dawn, she sat up in bed. She said, "Cannot I too order sun and moon to rise, husband?" she said, poking him in the ribs with her elbow. "Wake up! Go to the flounder, for I wish to be a powerful god." The man was still half asleep, but he was so horrified that he fell out of bed. He said, "Alas, wife, what are you saying?" "Husband," she said, "if I can't order the sun and the moon to rise, I can't bear it." I shall not know what it is to have another happy hour, unless I can make them rise myself." Then she looked at him so terribly that a shudder ran over him, and she said, "Go at once. I wish to be like God." But wife," said the man, falling on his knees before her, "the flounder cannot do that. I beseech you, go on as you are and be Pope." Then she fell into a rage, and her hair flew wildly about her head, and she cried, "I will not endure this. I'll not bear it any longer. Go!" He put on his trousers and ran away like a madman. Outside, a great storm was raging and blowing so hard that he could scarcely keep upright. Houses and trees toppled over, the mountains trembled, rocks rolled into the sea. The sky was pitch black with thunder and lightning, and the sea came in with black waves as high as church towers, and all with crests of white foam at the top. The fisherman cried out, though he could not hear his own words, "Flounder, flounder in the sea, come, I ask you here to me, for my good wife is alone, wants not as I'd wish she'd want." "Well, what does she want then?" said the flounder. "Alas," said he, "she wants to be like God." "Like God? Go to her and you will find her back again in the shack." And the fisherman and his wife still live there, even now.